G'day, welcome to another episode of Country Life on the Coast. My name is Sean, and on today's episode we're going to try out my new Ryobi Thicknesser. So I've just picked up this Ryobi Thicknesser. It has a 1500 watt motor. It will do a piece of timber, has a maximum width of 318 millimeters and the thickness, maximum thickness of 153 millimeters. So a decent sized piece of timber. For the home handyman, which is what I am, this should be ideal. Now I've looked around at a few different ones, but for the price, this I think is hard to beat. So I'm really keen to try this out. So let's open up the box and see what comes with it. As you can see, the box is already a bit ripped, and not that that worried me, but this was the last one that I could find in my area to buy. I looked around at a couple of different shops to find one, and when I looked online at my local shop, it said they didn't have any, but I actually found one on the floor there. Like I said, had some tears in the box, so I actually got a bit of a discount because of that, which is even better. Yeah, but anyway, let's get into it. Alright, so what we seem to have is obviously the thicknesser itself. We'll feed timber in from that side. There's two high-speed steel blades on this model, and it will feed it through and plane off up to 3 millimeter thick timber. So it looks like we need to attach a handle, and then there's 4, I believe these will be for feet that need to be attached. Gives you a couple of Allen keys, 4 bolts and 5 bolts, and instruction manual and a pushing tool, I think. So let's have a quick look at the instructions, have a read through, and then we'll put this together. We've had a look at the instructions. There's more pictures and that than words, I think, really in it, but we've had a read through it. A lot of safety things, which is to be understandable. These machines got to take a lot of care when using them. Also had a look, and it talked about an open-end spanner, which I found in the top up here, and also it talks about this tool, which is used to set the depth of the blades. And initially I was thinking it didn't come with this, so that's good. We have everything. So the handle gets attached on the top up here, and that handle is used to wind up and down the cutter head. So we'll attach that. All right, let us attach the feet. Well, that's all it appears that you really have to do. In the instructions it says about if you need to mount it solidly on a couple of pieces of timber. That's what the other bolts are for. And there's holes here for it. But for me, I'm going to use it on my workbench here all the time. I just have to store it inside. It is heavy. I think it's about 30 kilograms. But let me show you some of the features. So on the front, just need to lift this up to turn it on. It's all about the safety of it, but we just need to lift that up, push that to turn it on, and then there's a nice easy turn off in case of emergency, I suppose. Circuit breaker for an overload protection, I'm assuming. A nice decent sized gauge here. Hopefully that will be easy enough to read if we need to get it really accurate, just with a bit of a gap between it. So hopefully that won't be a real issue for us, but if we just wind this down to the handle on top, we just want that to go up and down. So the Ryobi has 4 support posts, one in each corner, and then this is the rod, basically the bar that helps raise it and lower it. I believe it's a chain drive system, but I haven't been to the ins and outs of it. And until I need to do any real work to it, that's as much as I'm going to worry about it. Now we're just going to enjoy being able to use it. So on the outfeed for here, ideally we would have a dust collector on here, which can be a shop vac or something. I don't even have a shop vac myself at the moment, so I'm just going to leave that and let it shoot out and see how it goes. We'll see. A shop vac would be better because it will then draw any of the fine chips out, but like I said, I don't have one, so we are going full basic DIY here. Alright, well, we're ready to trial this out. So I've got safety glasses, I've got earmuffs, and what I'm going to start by running through is, if you've seen my channel before, I do some projects with some old fencing material. So that's what we're going to start by, just planing these down a little bit to see how the timber comes up. This is old hardwood timber, so it's really going to test it out. Something a bit softer is probably easier on it, but yeah, I have this timber, I want to clean it all up anyway. The main thing to check for is making sure that there's no old nails or any old metal work, because any metal is obviously going to destroy the blade straight away. So we'll turn the power on and we'll see how this goes. So that's my first pass run through, and I got to say the timber has come up looking fantastic. It does a great job. It pulls it through really quickly as well, which I really like. Huge amount of sawdust, so we might have to look at something to do, but so far it's blowing all that out. It's not getting clogged in there at all, so that's good. So there's a lot of sawdust on the infeed and the outfeed tables though, so how much of a problem that's going to cause me in the future, I don't know. But for the time being, I might just keep running some other timbers through here just to get a better feel for it, see how it goes with some other bits of timber as well. And then we'll talk about the results at the end. There we go, that's my first use of the Ryobi Thicknesser. Overall, really happy with it. Like this timber has just come up so good and really quick as well. Creates a huge amount of sawdust. I end up putting a mask on as well. Obviously breathing in sawdust all the time, not a good thing. So I'm going to have to look at some form of shop vac or something, because yeah, having all this, it was sort of getting I'm not sure, sucked back in, but coming back onto the infeed side as well. So when I do some timbers and I want to make them perfectly level and exactly the same size, that sort of thing, I'm going to have something fixed up to do that. Otherwise there'll be sawdust pieces underneath bits of timber that we're feeding through. That's just going to cause issues trying to get the same size piece of timber. But for cleaning up these sorts of timbers, absolutely fantastic. One of the things I really like too is the speed that it just pulls them through. Now this piece of timber here, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it, but there's a couple of lines here, and that's where, as it was feeding through, it sort of stopped, and so I had to give it a little bit of a pull just to keep it rolling through. So I'm not quite sure why it does that, but then it does leave a slight indentation, so there would need to be a bit more sanding to really finish this off nicely. But again, it will depend on what project I'm doing, how fastidious the finish result needs to be, but I'll have to keep an eye on that, and something to keep in mind as well if you're looking at getting one of these. The book says you can do up to 3 millimeters thick as a pass-through. I'm not sure if it would do that with this hardwood, and I wouldn't like to try and work it that hard. The challenging bit that I found is the first couple of passes through is just getting the depth to work, so that you're not obviously taking too much, but you actually want to take some out. So for me, the first pass, each time I put some timber through, I didn't end up taking anything out at all, and then each time it's probably about a half turn I was doing just to lower it until I got to the timber. Not a big issue, but there is no gauge there to tell you where the blades are at. It's only basically where you start to feed it through. So that was a little bit trial and error. I haven't used the gauge basically that will tell you what thicknesses you're going down to at the moment, because really I was just trying to clean this timber up a bit and just to see how this works. So time will tell with that, but for an initial run cleaning up some pieces of timber, very, very happy with it. I mean, this timber was really rough, not plain down as what you would call rough cut timber, all of this, and now, yeah, it's very smooth. I'm very, very happy with the finish, and being able to stand it up and even feed it through to do these sides as well, and they came out beautiful. I also had a decibel meter sitting probably a meter and a half from it, just to get a gauge as to how loud it was, and it hit 89.7 decibels. So these are $549 if you can find one. I was able to get a little bit cheaper because of the box damage and that sort of thing, but for entry level and for what I'm going to use this for, I think this is going to be ideal. And looking at this result, and yeah, very, very happy with it. So that's where we're going to finish this episode. So thank you so much for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button for me. That would be great. And we'll catch you next time. God bless.